Hi and welcome, and thank you for joining us. Today I am interviewing a very special guest, John Lee Dumas, JLD. He is fabulous entrepreneur with having been number one of the podcasters in America with Entrepreneurs on Fire. Let me tell you a little bit about him. So he's an award-winning podcast, and he interviews many entrepreneurs on a daily schedule. Wow, really, really busy. He's got over 2,500 interviews and over 1 million listeners, and he is definitely on fire. So Entrepreneurs on Fire is his podcast show, and it's just amazing the information that he brings to so many of the viewers and listeners. So I'm absolutely, truly honored to bring you JLD.
John Lee Dumas here.
Hello, how are you?
You know, Sonia, the sun is shining, the birds are singing, life is good.
Oh, look, yeah, life is good. Look, the sun will come up shortly here. It's still a bit dark.
Where are you coming from?
So, g'day. Does that give it away?
Australia.
Yes. Aussie.
Oi, oi, oi.
Hey, well done.
You know, the person before you was from Tasmania. So I'm on your side of the world right now.
Whoa, okay. Welcome to the coldness.
Yeah, love it.
Whereas you're getting the nice heat, and my husband would be very jealous.
Yeah, humidity, heat, we got it all.
Yeah, I don't like the humidity though. No.
Yeah.
So look, it's such an honor to be interviewing you today. Oh my gosh, you are such an inspiration, and the fact that, you interview so many awesome people, and on a daily basis, my gosh, you are busy, and have been very busy for a long time. So I've got it recording. So let me ask you then, John, okay, and I have to ask this right off the hit for you too. What is something that you haven't shared with your listeners yet? What is something special about you that you haven't shared yet?
You know, I will say this. I pride myself on transparency, on genuineness, on just complete openness. You know, we've been publishing our monthly income reports for 81 months in a row now. So if I share every single dollar that I make and every single dollar that I lose and spend, sometimes erroneously, there's really nothing that I don't share. So, I mean, honestly, like, I'd love to kind of have this magical thing that I'm unveiling right now. You know, I was in a Bollywood movie when I was 27 years old.
I've seen it.
I've won a car, and the price is right. I mean, I've done some kind of weird, crazy things, but I've shared it all. You know, I'm an open book.
So no secrets to give away, other than the fact that you were just in Tasmania and now you're in Victoria, Melbourne, Australia.
Love it.
You are jet setting around.
Boom, zooming. I'm zooming around.
You're zooming around. Oh, that sounds great. Zoom. That was another car ad. Oh gosh, don't know if I should get into that. So tell me then, what do you think is the essence of a really good podcast?
The essence of a good podcast is one that solves one specific problem that those listeners need a solution to. So if you can have a podcast, doesn't matter the time, doesn't matter the specific focus of that actual content you're creating within, but if by the end of that episode, the listeners can say, you know what, I went into this and I pressed play having this one struggle, and throughout the episode, the host and the guest delivered the solution. That makes for a great podcast.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and it seems so simple, and yet it's so, fundamental, isn't it, really, as far as your listeners are concerned? Because a lot of them, with our communications, non-verbal being body language is such a high percentage. So then for talking and the words and tonality, it's a lower percentage of communication. So really nailing it per podcast is really important.
And people try to do like so much each episode, and it's just too much sometimes, and just becomes overwhelming to the listener. And, they kind of walk away. You might ask them, like, what was your biggest takeaway there? And a lot of times I might be like, I don't know. And that's why, like, for me, I'm so big on always asking that question at the end of my episodes to my guests. I want them to share what they think and what they want the listener to walk away with as the one big value bomb, as that one takeaway. So to me, if you can just really hone things down to say, we're going to solve this one problem. We are going to provide this solution to this problem, and you just keep things simple like that, your listener is going to find it very valuable.
Beautiful. Lovely. So one of my other questions is, like, you know, how do you turn then a podcast show, especially for people that are quite new to it, how do you turn it into being the nation like you have with Entrepreneurs on Fire Nation, the Fire Nation? How do you turn a show into being more like a movement?
It doesn't happen day one. It doesn't happen overnight. It comes by doing this, by providing free, valuable, and consistent content to your audience over a long period of time. So by 3 months in, I wasn't there. 9 months in, I wasn't there. But guess what? When I hit the 15, 17, 24 month point of my podcast, and my audience saw, you know, me giving my blood, sweat, and tears, you know, going all in, committing, showing up every single day, getting a little bit better every single episode, you know, being terrible at episode 1, being okay at episode 100, being kind of good at episode 453, like that process, like that ability for them to be part of that ride, that is what grew my listeners into Fire Nation, this audience that loved the episode, that knew, liked, and trusted me as the host, that went to my show every single day because they knew there was going to be great value, great content, well-produced, good audio quality, very focused questions. Like all of that, again, over time, delivering it over the long haul, that's what brought success. That's what turned just listeners into Fire Nation.
Which is really great to hear, because, you know, a lot of people, we want to have a really quite fast response these days. We're living in that instant society, and certainly at the moment with COVID, you know, hitting us left, right, and center, and trying to be a little bit more responsive and know how to pivot with, you know, the and perfectionisms of people out there. It does take time. So what would be your advice as far as sticking it out and really staying with that pathway?
So listen, we live in a different world now, and going forward, we're always going to live in a different world. And one of my hopes that we're coming out of from this entire experience with COVID and just living in a post-COVID-19 world is that, man, life is short, life is precious, and life can be fleeting and very fragile. So guess what? What are you waiting for? Like, what are you waiting for? Like, are you really going to wait to you're 65 to like do the thing that you think you were born to do? Or are you going to start doing it at 15, at 25, at 45, at 85? Like, are you going to keep waiting? Like, what is holding you back? And that's just my message that I want to get across to people is like, listen, this is the time to move forward. And like, don't overwhelm yourself. It's a simple process when you boil it down. And that's actually, you know, why I'm writing a book right now. It's called The Common Path to Uncommon Success. Because to me, it is a very common path to achieve uncommon success. And like, I really want to show people that it's simple. It's not easy. It's simple. And it's a lot of hard work, but it's a simple process to follow if you're willing to put in the time, energy, effort, and commitment to follow it. So, you know, a very easy and basic way to start is like this, is like in one hand, in one column, it's like, what are you passionate about? What are you excited about? What fires you up? But then in the other column, like, what are you knowledgeable about? What are you skillful in? Like, what value can you give to the world? The problem is when people start, they're either one side or the other. This side, the passion, the excitement, like if it's that alone, that's just a hobby. If it's just this side, where it's just value, just expertise, like you get burned out because there's no passion and curiosity there. So how can you take the two, marry them together in that zone of fire? Like that's where the focus needs to be. Like that zone of fire is where you're going to be able to get up on day 1, on day 100, and on day 1000. And if you're like me, day 2,673, keep producing the content, keep producing the value, keep sharing your knowledge, your experience with the world.
Yeah, beautiful, lovely. So find your zone of fire, certainly on a daily basis. Whether I'm seeing the visuals. I'm a very visual person, and and because of your visuals that you've got on your website, I can see it all.
Yes.
I love it. Yeah. So how do you keep on top of it all, though?
Just by taking it one day at a time. You know, I mean, a lot of people, they want to do everything at once. They want to complicate things. They want to make things difficult and challenging because they feel like it has to be that way if you're going to achieve this massive level of success. But the reality is, everybody who's achieved a level of success that like they're proud of, that they're excited about, can look back and say, you know what? It was like me taking one step at a time. Like, I love the Martin Luther King quote of that: you don't have to see the whole staircase to take that first step. And that's where most people's problem is they feel like they need to be able to see the entire path all the way to the finish line before they even take that first step, where it's impossible. Like that, you don't even know what the second step is until you take the first step. And then the fog kind of dissipates a little bit and you can see what that next step is. And then you keep on moving forward in that way, where your path is revealed as you take action, as you move forward. Like, that's the process, is simplify things. Like, stop trying to overwhelm and complicate yourself and think that you need to have this 3, 5, 7-year plan. I don't have a 3, 5, or 7-year plan. I never have, and I never will. I know what I'm working on right now. I know what I think I'm going to be working on next month, but all of that could change.
Well, exactly, especially at the moment. And that's really interesting, because with business, we were always teaching people to sort of have those long-term trajectories. And it certainly has been changing over time. And it's interesting to hear you, even in that lesser time within the 5-year, framework, even the 1-year framework, I'm sort of going, wow, okay. Which is great though, and especially because of right now, to just do it one step at a time. Absolutely, really very, very fundamental there. So how do you go about, I'm very interested, how do you go about securing so many fabulous people and to interview them, sourcing them and securing them?
So it was hard at the beginning. Listen, it was hard work back in 2012, 2013, when I didn't know anybody. Entrepreneurs on Fire wasn't a brand. It wasn't a name. It was hard work. Like, I had to actually put in the work, and it was a full-time job. And guess what? That's why nobody had done it at that point, because it was so much work. And it was such a mountain to climb. But then guess what? You hit a tipping point. You get to a point where people have heard of your show. They've seen the amount of listeners you have. They see your ranking. They read the articles written about your show. And at that point, that tipping effect takes over. And at first it was like one person emailed me and were like, John, I've heard about your show. I'd love to be a guest. I was like, well, that was easy. And then one person turned into 2, and then 2 person turned into 10. And now over time, this is over years, that's continued to snowball. And as we're speaking right now, I get over 400 requests per month of people wanting to be on the show. Wow. So that's for at most 30 spots, so I mean, like, it has become this process where now we're just having to spend all of our time looking at applications and deciding who the best is. So they're coming to us at this stage. And again, it took time to get there to this point now, but that's what happens when you reach that tipping point, and the tipping point's there.
Absolutely beautiful. Look, that is so fantastic, and it's inspiring for a lot of people that are listening. My underlying ethos is to, is to pay it forward and to help entrepreneurs and small business owners very much so, as much as I possibly can, because they're the ones that help our communities and our microeconomy and overall our macroeconomy. So what would be your before we sign off, because I know your time is very precious and I'm truly, truly honored that you've given us some time here. So before we do that, what would be something that you would like to part away to help give inspiration and guidance for entrepreneurs for the remainder of this 2020?
I would like to end with my favorite quotes by Albert Einstein. This was a quote that honestly, back in 2012, like it just slapped me upside the head because it made me realize that I'd been living my life one way up to that point, and then everything changed going forward. That quote is, try not to become a person of success, but rather a person of value. And when I read that quote, I realized that's all I've been trying to do is become a person of success for all of these years. And I've been a failure at it. But what have I done that's been trying to give value to the world? And my answer was really nothing. I couldn't come up with anything. So when I flipped my script on its head and I followed that quote and just focused on being a person of value, everything changed. And what could be more valuable in my world than delivering a free, valuable, and consistent podcast 7 days a week, interviewing a successful entrepreneur and helping them, shape the lives and give lessons learned and information to people like myself and my listeners. And so that is the thing I want to leave everybody with here today. And just, really ask yourself the hard question, like, what are you doing in your life that is of value?
Gosh, that is such a drop the mic thing, isn't it? Yeah, with fire. And look, that is so profound, and so much can come about from it, and the ripple effect. And I think that's absolutely a beautiful quote. So I really, really thank you for that. And I really thank you for your time, like I said. And well, enjoy your day, your evening, where it is. And is that your background? Is that your house in the background there?
This is my backyard in lovely Puerto Rico. Life is good.
Nice. So have a lovely swim and enjoy it for us for here in the winter where we can't do that. It's too cold.
Will do. It was great chatting with you today. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, lovely, lovely. Thank you. Take care. Bye.